It literally makes me so angry and so sad at the same time to be on social media and see Black women scared to have their babies.
Yes.
Like, that's messed up. That's not okay.
On this episode of the Beyond I Do podcast, we are welcoming Holly Eckelberger.
Yes.
She is an advocate for sexual and reproductive health issues. She is a sex educator, and she is funny.
Yes, she is.
So we want you to tune in and learn a little bit, laugh a little bit, and let us know what you think.
All right, here goes. What would change if you stopped guessing and start building on purpose?
If you love your partner but feel disconnected, our book was written for you.
Unlocking Forever breaks marriage down into real, usable shifts.
No fluff, no perfection.
Just practical ways to build a marriage that lasts.
You can grab it now. Check out the link in the show notes or the description. And
until next time, we gonna holler at y'all.
So, Holly, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Holly. I am currently the owner of That Sex Educator and the podcast host of Meet Me at the Spot podcast. I started as a health teacher, really interested in talking to young people, especially about sexual health. Left teaching. I was really ambitious when I was in college.
Yes,
and then when I started teaching, I was like, middle schoolers. What? Bodies?
Right.
What is this breed? Was not cool. So left that life and got a job working for a small birth control clinic. And I was the sexual health educator. So I would be the fun guest speaker. So now I got to go in, talk about sex stuff, bounce out, didn't have to call parents, deal with all of that mess. And if kids misbehaved, I was like, peace, I'm out. So I never had to see those kids again if I didn't want to. So so that was really great. And then ended up going back to school to get my master's in public health, focusing on public policy shortly after the 2016 election, and got a job right after graduating, working in HIV prevention education, which was absolutely amazing. And now my full-time job, I work as an instructional designer as part of our local university's Office of Engagement and Enrichment now, which is DEI work. And so I had to change the name to make it fly under the radar.
Yeah.
That's what I do for my full-time job. But like I said, I just recently started my own business, That Sex Educator, opening up opportunities for folks to learn about sexual health. I sell some various products in my store, and I'm working on building a community hub of educational lessons and workshops that folks can access. Get voices from lots of folks. I'm all about building community. It's like my number one favorite thing to do. And a couple years ago, I started my podcast, Meet Me at the Spot, where I talk about reproductive justice issues and get to interview really amazing people, and have made some absolutely incredible, long-lasting relationships with folks. Yeah, that's kind of what's brought me here.
The work that you do is so important on many different levels.
Thank you.
The education portion, the advocacy, and we thank you and applaud you for your work. It is needed, and I'm glad that you escaped.
Me too.
Because I can only imagine walking into a middle school health class and saying sex. I don't have to imagine but anywho. I digress. So what led you to this particular field when it comes to sex education, when it comes to reproductive health? What led you to that?
Yeah. I think one of the things I started recognizing when I first started teaching was that so many young people have so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I started teaching, I don't want to be like that old lady on the podcast. Like back when I was teaching, social media wasn't what it is now, but it really wasn't. And so there weren't a lot of avenues for young people to get access to sexual health. And my first year teaching, I actually taught in a very rural school district. And I didn't know anything about rural areas. I just needed a job. I'm a city girl at heart. I love big cities. It's my jam. So being out like in the middle of nowhere, I was quite shocked. Don't make fun of me, y'all, but I thought the kids were gonna come in like overalls or straw hats, like piece of straw hanging out their mouth, like
Yeah.
yeah. And they just look like regular kids. And so I was quite shocked. But they had so many questions,
Mm-hmm.
so many, and nowhere to ask them. And that's when I really started focusing very heavily on talking about sexual and reproductive health. I think it's something that is so controversial, it's edgy, it's always current, always in the news. Things are always kind of changing, evolving. We're learning new stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what really drew me to it. Mostly around the controversy part. Like I love talking about it in a way that makes people feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at ease. I recognize and sometimes call right up to the front of the room like, this is awkward. This is going to
Yeah.
be uncomfortable. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to laugh. We're going to giggle. I couldn't say the word penis without giggling while I was student teaching in college, a whole grown adult. Like I had to do practice around that, right? So like I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's giggly for me too, right? And it's cool that it is giggly, but like how can we talk about these in ways that we can giggle and laugh a little bit and also get the information, right? We can
Right.
recognize it's silly, we can recognize it's weird and uncomfortable and things like that. But I try to make it fun, and I always say like if the kids are laughing at me, then people don't always know that they're giggling because they feel awkward or uncomfortable.
Right.
So keep
Right.
them laughing all the time, and then nobody's making fun of them like, oh, grow up, you're so immature, how kids
Right.
are. So
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so important. Sex is such a taboo
hmm
subject,
Yeah.
and we see the results of keeping it that way or making
hmm
it the forbidden subject. So
hmm
it's time to do something different. So again, we
hell yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
taking that and rolling with it.
Well, and it's definitely needed because we have a lot of grown adults
hmm
who know nothing. And when we look at social media, we are part of a marriage group that is on
hmm
Facebook. And some of the questions that people ask are
hmm
amazing.
yeah.
And the thought that people will go to thousands of people online to ask questions that they won't even ask their partner. And
hmm
it is amazing to me. So there
yeah.
we know that there are some great misconceptions when it comes to sex and intimacy. So what are the most common
Mm.
misconceptions that you have heard in your years of teaching?
Whew, let's get into it. No, so many. I'm really glad that you brought up about adults. So I've worked mostly with youth, but in building my business and in starting the podcast is
Mm,
really geared towards adults. And certainly youth as well, but I really want to target adults, especially who didn't get adequate or any sex education growing
mm,
up, because where is there to go, right? Facebook
Right.
groups,
right.
right? A
Right.
Reddit,
Pretty much. Yeah.
those kinds of things, right? So I want to create a space for folks to learn. So some common misconceptions that I hear, some big ones, especially among young people, is you can't get pregnant when you're on your period. And that's
Yeah.
not true. You can get pregnant any old time.
Mhm.
Oh,
It just really depends on where somebody is. Somebody with a uterus, has a monthly cycle, depends where they are in that monthly cycle, will determine the likelihood of pregnancy happening, right? There's lots of factors that have to go into play for pregnancy to happen, although it seems like it doesn't all the time, right? Like people are just getting pregnant. But it unfortunately, it doesn't matter if it's your first time, your 50th time, your 1000th time, right? If someone has a uterus, they're releasing an egg every month, so they're having a cycle, engages in sex with someone who has semen, pregnancy is a possibility. And so I think that's one of the biggest ones that people are like, I'm good during the period because I don't have to worry about it. It's like you still do. And you also still have to worry about sexually transmitted infections,
Yes.
which
Right.
are a huge concern, right? I love and I applaud people's choices and their autonomy around how they want to prevent pregnancy. And for some people, that's like fertility awareness, right? Being aware of where they are in their cycle, measuring like their cervical mucus, measuring all of these things. And that's great if that works for you. But there's so much room for human error, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of folks don't realize that, and don't realize that fertility awareness was really generally started for folks who are trying to get pregnant.
Right. Not
Right?
Yeah.
You got it.
prevent.
Yeah.
You got it.
I always
I
thought
think,
that was
yeah.
very weird. That people want to have sex during the menstrual cycle, but I've heard people say, "Oh, that's the best time to do it." I'm like,
Hell yeah.
"Mm,
Now you got to be ready for the mess.
I think
I
I'll."
recommend to folks, like if you're gonna do it like traditional, like on a bed or something, lots of towels around. But that's a really good time to have some shower fun, right? Like because you're in the shower
Yeah,
already, the water kind of stops.
we
Y'all's
can
faces are killing me. It's so good,
Support,
we
but
can
there's a
wait.
lot, but
choices.
a lot of lubrication.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe it. I
Right?
believe
A
it.
lot of lubrication.
Mhm.
Fluctuations in hormones can make it feel better. Things like that can be really great. But it's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's cool too, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
for
Right.
me, I'm kind of with y'all on that. For me, it's not my cup of tea. It's too much afterwards. I'm a cuddler. And you can't really cuddle. You got to get up. You got to
Right.
clean. You got to get everything put
yeah,
together. It's too much work for me personally. But like, listen, do your jam. Just be
yeah,
prepared for messiness.
Right.
yeah.
For me, my periods were so painful and traumatic alone. Like I just wanted to get through
Yeah.
them. So the
Yeah.
idea of being touched, and then have to clean it up. No, I
Oh,
don't.
hell no.
No, leave me alone.
No. No. Just
Yeah.
bring me chocolate and a heating pad
Right.
and some good
Right.
movies. Like,
Right.
And I mean, as a dude, I just remember seeing a tampon bloody one time, and I was just like, oh, nah,
no,
I
I'm
know.
good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah.
but
People are
thankfully,
too.
I'm old. Not an issue.
No. No, I have an IUD.
So
I haven't had a period in years. It's beautiful.
yeah,
Love it.
I actually hysterectomy me. So that was the best decision ever. It took hell to get to it because of the fibroids and pain and
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah. Yikes.
anywho,
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say too, I think another really big misconception that's making its rounds around social media right now is the topic around birth control, and the safety of birth control.
Right.
How do I put this so delicately? I'm not going to. You guys know me already. There are a lot of folks who are in online spaces, especially in wellness spaces, that I want to believe in my heart are truly being well-meaning folks when they're having these conversations. There are some people who are not. They're trying to sell their product, whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who make claims on the internet about birth control, and especially on the safety of birth control, that are just flat out not true. And that is right in line with patriarchal white supremacy mindsets and frameworks, right? Birth control has allowed people in this country to do so much, right? To delay pregnancy, number one, right? To have babies when we're ready to have babies, or to not have babies if we don't ever want to have them.
Right.
And I always tell people when I talk about birth control is anything you put in your body, there's a potential for a side effect.
Right.
Right. And so whether you take any kind of medication for a cold or a headache, whatever it may be, there's side effects.
Yes.
Right. And so I think a lot of people are weighing the side effects of birth control to not using birth control, when instead we need to be talking about the side effects of birth control compared to the side effects of pregnancy, labor, delivery, and having a baby and raising a child.
Right.
Because that's the comparison that people are missing.
Right.
In this country, in the United States, the most risky thing a person with a uterus can do to their body is pregnancy, labor, and delivery. The maternal mortality rate in this country is embarrassing at the least.
Yes.
And dangerous at the worst. And it's 3 times worse for Black women compared to white women. Right. And so when you talk about how bad it is, people are generally talking about how bad it is, like statistics related to white women. Right. When you start to add in these intersecting factors of like race and ethnicity, language, immigration status, LGBTQ plus identities, right? These numbers get higher and higher. Like it literally makes me so angry and so sad at the same time to be on social media and see Black women scared to have their babies.
Yes.
Like that's messed up. That's not okay.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was sitting here thinking it's a double-edged sword though, because the high mortality rate, but also there's a history in this country of poisoning Black people under the guise of medicine or science or what have you. And so the idea of birth control and taking something every day, it's like which is the lesser of the two evils. So it's a hard, and isn't that sad? I'm sidebarring for a minute. Isn't that sad that in 2025, in a country that's supposedly free and we're supposed to be equal, that you have individuals who are afraid to listen to the very individuals who are supposed to provide health care and whatnot. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's like, which do I, trust the least or,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you cannot, I was very aware of being a white middle-class woman walking into spaces where I was, walking into classrooms in urban, settings in school districts, community centers, things like that, after school programs, and talking about like, here's all these birth control methods you could use. And I'm someone who straight up would be like, listen, we can't talk about this without recognizing that the history of how birth control has come to where it is today has a very, very troubled and racist past. It is just, it's terrible. It's awful, right? The medical systems that, we're told we're supposed to trust in the medical systems have done, and I'm just talking about birth control. I'm not even talking about the hundreds and thousands, that is still happening today. These things didn't, just disappear, right? We literally just had a woman who was brain dead, and the hospital using, and the state using her body
as an incubator,
and as a method of control against the family's wishes because of the way that laws are being set forth in this country.
It is a scary time.
It's so scary. And I try to remind folks, like, I live in New York State, we're always going to be blue here, right? We're always going to be a blue state here. But I always tell people, do not become complacent if you live in a blue state or a blue area. You feel really like you could get access to services right now, because all of that could change.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
And
yes,
all of
yes.
that
Absolutely.
likely will change over the next 3.5 years plus, right? We are only now, what, 8 months into this mess?
Oh,
Golly.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I said it out loud. I said 8 months, and I was like, oh my God, wait, that's it.
Doesn't it
yeah,
feel like
I'm
it's
yeah.
sorry.
been
I'm
years?
sorry. I'm so
Oh my
Yes. Oh
sorry.
my
God.
goodness.
I'm so sorry.
Moment
I
of
said it out loud too, and I
We,
felt if I had to deal with the pain, y'all did
we,
too.
we went
moment of
through
transparency.
4 years
Yeah.
prior, and that
Right.
was like a warm up. He's done more in 8 months than he
Yeah.
did the entire 4 years,
Blows my
and I'm
mind.
just like, wow.
Well,
So
yeah, and that's the thing I think that's important is like a lot of people, from 2016 to 2020 were like, see, it wasn't really like that bad.
yeah.
You all just
Oh
blew it
yeah,
out.
oh
But
yeah,
it's because we knew that it was setting forth in motion what is happening now.
yes,
Right.
Yes.
And
yes.
I
Right.
hate to be that person sitting back like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
told you, I
yeah,
told
yeah,
you,
Right.
I
yeah,
told
yeah,
you, I
yeah.
Right.
told you, I
Yeah,
told you.
yeah, we tried.
We
Right.
tried to
And
tell you these things, and
and
now that
it's
it's
sad,
impacting you.
it's sad that in so many ways you want to say, aha, tried to
Right.
tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But then at the same
It
time,
affects
it's
us
like,
too.
well, shit, it's still
Yeah.
going to affect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can't
Right.
get too happy about aha, but
Mm-hmm. I'm
It's
like,
it's a
well,
scary it's a
mm,
scary time. We've seen
yeah,
women lose their lives,
yeah,
yeah,
and it is a scary time. And so there
yeah,
again, what you do is so important
mm,
because I mean, like at this point, we literally have to catch people before they get to a
mm-hmm.
point of needing those medical procedures
yeah,
where we
Mm-hmm.
can. So it's a scary time.
Absolutely.
So I do want to pivot because we could go on.
Yeah. Let's.
We could go on about it, but um, so in terms of being comfortable talking about sex, I
Mm-hmm.
I want to start with couples with adults, and
Mm-hmm.
then I want to circle back and come to kids because I think that
Yeah.
that's somewhere where I think we did a decent job, but could have
mm,
done better in terms. We were open,
yeah,
and we talked about basics, but I think we could have done better
Mm-hmm.
and done more. But I want to start with couples. So when you
Yeah.
have couples who are uncomfortable, like the ones who, like we said, go to Facebook instead of
yeah.
their
Mm-hmm.
partner, how do you open up with your partner when it's something, when it comes to sex or intimacy, to have those conversations when there's something that's not quite right?
Yeah. I want to put out forward facing
Mhm.
that as someone who talks about sex for a living, I struggle with this. So if
Mhm.
you struggle with this too, like I don't want you
Mm,
to feel embarrassed or like you have to have all the answers. And
right.
I'm going to have a similar saying when I talk about talking to your kids about sex too,
Mhm.
um,
Mm,
because it's going to be almost the same.
oh yes.
Uh, I, I think you have to find what works for the dynamics of the relationship that you're in, right?
Mm,
For some people, it's we can sit down, we can say, I like when you do this. I like when we do this. This is what gets me going. This is what definitely turns me off. But
yes.
that's not the reality for a lot of relationships. So I'm always thankful there are ways to kind of take that uncomfortableness away. So there are lots of like different apps and stuff, right? Where each person downloads the app.
Mm.
You get a
Mm,
list of kind of questions. My partner and I did this. We've been together for almost 10 years. When we first started dating, we did something similar. So it would come up with like a prompt, like something around our sexual or intimacy, right? And you would have to say, hell yes, I'm into this.
mm.
Hell no, I would never do this. Or
Ah,
I'm
okay.
open to maybe exploring this a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you would see each other's answers once you both responded. And then
Okay.
that opens up a way to have the conversation, right? Because
Okay.
we would say,
Yeah.
oh, you said you might be into this, and I'm definitely not into this, but I'd like to know a little bit more, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
Mm,
what makes you kind of into it? And here's why this is going to be a straight up no for me.
right.
Um, that's like one way to do it. I'm all about making things kind of into a game And so like gamifying things, there's lots of fun games and get ways to get the conversation started with your partner. I don't recommend having the conversation like during, right
Right.
before, directly after. Maybe like wait a few minutes and be like,
Right.
Yeah,
hey,
Right.
let's talk about this. But I would recommend setting aside time that is not related or not in the bounds of like sex is about to happen.
Right.
right.
The conversation may lead to, oh, I didn't know you were into that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try that right now. So, right, the
Right.
conversation may lead to
Right.
that. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. But just knowing that if you're uncomfortable having these conversations with your partner, that may be a signal to you like, hey, why is it that I'm uncomfortable? Is it
Right.
because I've been conditioned that sex is taboo, that it's a topic we don't talk about? And so
Mm,
I never learned how to talk about those things. And especially if you're, we're talking about like a heterosexual couple, right? Like I'm a female and I'm supposed to be passive about these things and just supposed to be like the receiver
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
these things. I don't think I have the agency to speak up and say
Right.
something, or it's not like my place.
Right.
But people like in LGBTQ plus relationships, this may be the first time they're exploring this kind of relationship, right?
mhm.
And so I'm with someone who's more experienced than I am, so I don't know how to ask for what's normal, what's not normal, quote unquote, right?
Right.
I don't know how to ask for these things. So I think there's a lot of factors at play.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really like not getting fulfilled from a partner and feeling like you can't talk about it, it may be time to sit down and evaluate
Mm-hmm.
why you want to continue this relationship,
Right.
Yes.
or if
Yes.
it's
Absolutely.
time to kind of move on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And when it comes to the kids,
Mm-hmm.
for us, our son, he was born very observant, and
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
when he started talking, he didn't talk until he was almost 2, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like complete sentences,
yeah.
and always had a very large vocabulary, just very intelligent. And
Yeah.
so his sister is 4 years younger than him.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, he would come and he would ask questions, and we would answer based on his age and appropriately. And
Mm,
then he would go and redeliver.
yeah.
Think, whoa, nobody
Yeah.
told you to say that.
You're not your place.
Right. And so then she would have questions. So we've always been, open to questions and them coming to us. Like I said, we did the basics, but then I feel like now, especially meeting people like you and
Mm,
Jennifer, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we could have done more to help them be more comfortable with themselves and with
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
sexuality and things like that.
Mm,
So for parents, um, the ages and stages of this, what does that look like?
Yeah. So I said I was going to have a preface with this one too. So I can tell you, as someone who's worked in this field for 17, 18, however many years, is that every sexual health educator that I know that does this work speaks to thousands and thousands of kids a year who
mm.
are also parents
Mm-hmm.
struggle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I am a mom. I have a 4-year-old. And I feel like I'm trying to set up, I'm trying to set up all
Mm-hmm.
the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of people don't realize that they are having conversations around sexual health at a very, very early age,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm,
So, something we do and have always done with my daughter is we use, the proper terms for
Mm-hmm.
body parts. And I say vulva and vagina in the same way I say elbows, knees, and feet, right?
mm.
Because they're all body parts, and
Right.
we're not gonna have shame around them or whisper them or call them some cutesy name.
Right.
Mm,
And I understand why people do that. It's the way they grew up. It's the way their parents grew
Mm-hmm.
up. It's it's
yeah.
generational. It's cyclical. I totally get it. But we want to stress the importance of that because your body parts are your body parts, right?
Right.
But I will tell you that so my kiddo does dance. She's in dance class once a week. We're on the way to dance, and we have a body book at home. It goes from your head to your toes and everything in between. And it talks about, vulvas, vaginas, penises, but like it talks about all this stuff, right? And what the functions are of the body.
Right.
So she's 4, and she's in that stage now where, words like poop and butt are really hilarious, right? And so, which they are, obviously. And so, agreed. So we're driving, and she's in the back seat, and we're about 5 minutes from dance class, and she goes, I have a penis. And I was like, no, you don't actually have a penis. You have a vulva and you have a vagina, remember? And she was like, then she's trying to get me going, like, no, I have a penis, tee. I'm like, T, you don't have a penis, and that's okay. That's your body. And then I'm like, we're about to go to dance. I was like, so, like, we talk about body parts and how like our bodies are awesome and they do such cool things for us. But there are some people, especially in your age
Yes.
3 to 4 dance class, who's like their mommies and daddies, or their mommies and mommies, or daddies and daddies, or just their mom or grandma, or whoever, or they're grown up in their house, right? I'm trying to be so, and I was like, they're not ready to have these conversations. But I mean, it's not embarrassing and stuff. And I'm going on. I'm like, how she moved on. She moved on. You're doing too much. I would say there's absolutely like no standard for like you have to do it this way, you have to talk about this during this, but there are guidelines, there are guidances, like what our kids developmentally kind of thinking or learning about, right? And so when we think about things like gender expression and having a sense of like your gender and who you are and how you fit in is happening around like late toddler stage, early elementary school age. So when people are like, and politicians are like, well, kids don't know that young. It's like, no, actually, they start to develop this identity of who they are.
Right.
And they start to really recognize who they are. And so having those conversations, like you said, that are age appropriate, but also parents know their kids best, right? When your kid is just a little bit at a different level than what maybe their age group is. Your kid is more inquisitive. Your kid is more into learning. Your kid remembers things at a different speed and different way, right? So those conversations may shift a little. I will say for parents, it's never too early to start having conversations around sexual health, around consent. There's a really amazing video going around TikTok of a teacher who's talking about your private parts and like nobody touches them, nobody squeezes them. And she's very like assertive in her singing and in her dance moves and in the way her tone and her body language is. It's amazing. I love it so much. This is conversations we should be having with our kids, right? Like these are our private parts. These are parts that are, for us. We don't show them to kids at school or other grown-ups. And then, as parents, you get into the nuance around like doctors, right? Like when we go to the doctor's office, that's an okay place because they are checking for your health.
Right.
Mom and dad, we are, need to sometimes check your body to make sure everything's okay and that you're healthy, right?
Right.
But like, then you start to get in some of these nuanced conversations. For parents, the best thing that I think parents should know is you're not alone in this. There are actually so many amazing, great resources that are out there. One of my absolute favorites is amaze.org. They make a lot of videos that get the conversation started. They also have like cool like discussion sheets, activity sheets, coloring sheets, and it's moves through age appropriate, right? So it's great for your kiddos who are in elementary school, middle school, and even high school. And high school kids and middle school kids will act like they're too cool for these videos, but they're actually. I used to show them in my classroom, and the kids really liked them. They're actually really good. Planned Parenthood has some amazing resources for parents on how to use like TV shows and movies to have these conversations. different books to get you started. I always tell parents the number one thing to remember is that we frame it in our society as having the talk. And it's not this like
Right.
one moment you have to have all the answers for.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
an ongoing discussion that lasts forever and ever and ever.
Right.
And so it's always ongoing. You don't have to know all the answers when your kid asks questions. It's okay to say, I'm not really sure about that. Let's look that up together. Let's find that out together.
Right.
That's okay to say, or say, I'm going to look into that a little bit and I want to get back to you on that one. That's a really great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's okay to say that.